At Rowan University, the College of Science and Mathematics and School of Health Professions offers students more than 50 academic programs in basic and applied sciences, mathematics, and health professions. We promote a student-centered approach to learning in a research-rich environment.
The professors I've worked with, they're always with you every step of the way. I originally wasn't going to do research on campus, and then my professor for Chem 1 had approached me and asked me if I wanted to work on one of the projects, and I thought it was a really cool and interesting opportunity. I have friends that go to different schools, and they're also in the chemistry programs, and nobody I know really does anything like the research that I'm doing.
Students have small class sizes where they can, in class, get their questions answered and interact with the professor. They have really taken ownership of the research. They're telling you what they should do next. That's when you see that change. That's when you see them grow professionally.
It's helpful that when we do have these labs as classes that we learn how to use the tools that are given to us, like the hydrostatic weighing lab and then also the exercise phys lab. I feel like it makes it so much easier to go out there into the real world and be able to be confident in my skills.
You can't put a price tag on practical skills. And we want to make sure that we're putting out the best, so we make sure that our students know the skills while they're in those lab settings before they go out and even do their internships. We're equipping them with everything they need so that they can be successful in any path that they choose.
Whether it's training the next generation of scientists and healthcare professionals, or providing all students with a foundation in science and mathematics, the work we do today will impact the scientific thinking in our society for generations to come.
My name is Dr. Stephen Bentavanga. I am the head of the Department of Molecular and Cellular Biosciences. And I've only been here a month, and so I'm very new to the Rowan community. And I'll tell you why I chose to come here. And that was because of the tremendously talented faculty that I had the opportunity to work with. And you'll hear a lot over the next few days about the Rowan family. And I can tell you, having only been here a month, that I really did feel welcomed as part of the family, and I hope you will too. In the room with me today are several of our faculty that I'll introduce in a moment, but first I want to introduce you to two students who are here with us today. The first is Alyssa Sanders. Alyssa is a translational biomedical sciences major and a three-season student athlete. She's been working with Dr. Nathaniel Nucci for several years. Alyssa, can you say hello and tell everyone what you plan on doing after you graduate?
Hi, I'm Alyssa, and after I graduate from Rowan this spring, I plan on going into graduate school to pursue a PhD.
Thanks, Alyssa. And also in the room with us today is Amal Khan. Amal is a third-year student in our MCB program, in particular the 3+4 program that we have with Cooper Medical School. She's been performing research with Dr. Soto-Reyes, who's also with us today, since fall of 2020. And Amal, can you please say hello and talk a little bit about the application process to medical school?
Of course, thank you for introducing me. My name is Amal Khan. I'm a junior student, as you already said, and I plan on going to medical school after I finish this semester. I will be graduating and then matriculating into Cooper Medical School.
Thanks, Amal. I'm going to introduce you to the faculty we have with us today. First off is Dr. Ben Carone. We also have Dr. Ileana Soto-Reyes and Dr. Nathaniel Nucci. I'm going to let each of the three of them introduce themselves, and then we'll start with our presentation. Ben?
Yep. Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Ben Carone. I've been at Rowan for only about 4.5 years now. It's been a pleasure being here. The research has been exciting. The students have been exceptional. And I can tell you a little bit more about the programs as we get into this program. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Soto-Reyes. I have been at Rowan almost for 6 years, and I'm doing research in the area of neurodegenerative and neurodevelopmental disorders.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nathaniel Nucci. I've been at Rowan for, I think this is my 7th year at Rowan. And I'm in the Department of Molecular and Cellular Biosciences and also in the Department of Physics and Astronomy. I'm a molecular biophysicist, and my research focuses on understanding how proteins work, with the idea of knowing more about how they work, informing how we design better and more effective drugs. And so I'm going to tell you a bit more about our department and the kinds of degree programs that we have available for students. As the name implies, molecular and cellular biosciences, we are a very interdisciplinary department. And what we mean by interdisciplinary is none of us does just one thing. All of us educate and do research that involves biology, chemistry, physics, math, computer science. And so our educational approach and our degree programs are designed to teach our students a broad array of techniques, skills, and topics, including biology, chemistry, physics, math, and computational skills. The reason this is important is because in today's marketplace, students really have to come out with a firm foundation, not just in biology, but in a broad array of topics to be competitive for jobs, for positions in medical school, or for positions in graduate school. And so that's really where we focus our curricular design, and it's kind of the foundation of our philosophy and how we educate our students. And that's one piece, is the interdisciplinary perspective. The other piece is this philosophy of learning by doing. We believe very firmly here at Rowan, and you saw a little bit in the video that you saw earlier, that the best way for students to learn how to do things is to do those things. So our students are heavily involved in research in all three of our major programs. And that allows them to get firsthand experience with techniques, with things like experimental design, with analyzing data, and with talking about their science. Those skills become really important when they go out and try to get jobs, or when they try to go into medical school, or when they apply for graduate school, because they always have to be able to talk about their experiences. So it helps them build their resume and be able to speak about their experiences. The pictures that you see in front of you are kind of give testimony to that. If we could go back, thanks. What you see in this first picture is a poster session that comes from our summer program, where we have had, for the last 7 years, over 100 students in the College of Science and Math every summer doing research in labs over the summer. And at the end of that summer program, there's a poster session where the students get an opportunity to talk about their research. The upper right picture is a picture of Daniel Yang. He did his research in Dr. Caron's lab, and he is a medical student at the Rowan School of Osteopathic Medicine now. And in the bottom, you see Alyssa Sanders, who you'll hear more from in a little while. So let me tell you a little bit more about our specific degree programs. We have 3 degree programs in the department: molecular and cellular biology, translational biomedical sciences, and bioinformatics. As I said before, all 3 of these are interdisciplinary, and they kind of offer different flavors of an interdisciplinary preparative degree for pursuing careers in the biomedical world. Molecular and cellular biology is the most general of the 3 degrees. It provides a well-rounded education and was designed in collaboration with Rowan's 2 medical schools for the express purpose of preparing students for medical school. It prepares them for other career paths as well, so this is not purely a pre-med program, but what it does is it gives them all the coursework that med schools are going to be looking for them to have in their on their transcripts. Translational biomedical sciences also provides a similar kind of broad array of coursework, but is really focused on immersing the students in research. TBS majors start doing research in our labs as sophomores. Our bioinformatics degree, again, interdisciplinary, but with a focus on computational skills. One of the most the biggest and most lucrative emerging markets for students in terms of pursuing jobs is the evolution of big data, data science, and this is very important in the biomedical world, not only for companies but in hospitals and places like that. So the bioinformatics degree gives the students a foundation of different kinds of the physics, the biology, and the chemistry, but then also builds out their computational skills. They learn how to code, and they learn how to do advanced bioinformatics. In the picture you see at the right are 2 students that work with me, Denise Marie and Dwayne Bryant. Both of them are pursuing careers in health physics, and Dwayne actually just got a job working as a health physicist at Columbia in Manhattan, at Columbia Hospital. So the next couple of slides, I'm going to show you the coursework. The idea here is not to give you something that you try to read all of the details, but to emphasize the fact that we've designed these major programs to allow our students maximum flexibility. So what you see is that each degree program is composed of sort of 3 stages: foundational courses, mid-level courses, and upper-level courses that I'll talk about in the next slide. But you notice that the foundational courses for these 3 major programs are the same. So you might be saying, man, you've got MCB, TBS, Bioinformatics. I'm not really sure what I might want to take. Well, this is designed to allow students flexibility so that, let's say you start off as an MCB major and you are thinking about going to medical school. And then during your freshman year, you take your intro to programming class and you decide you really love programming, and that's really cool. And you learn about all these great career paths in data science, and you decide, I want to switch to bioinformatics. Our curriculum is designed to allow students to make that switch during their freshman or their sophomore year with minimal negative impact on their ability to graduate on time. This saves our students the extra time and extra money that often comes with switching majors later on in their career path. After our students take these foundational courses during their sophomore and the beginning of their junior year, they take these mid-level courses that start to differentiate the majors and build out their different skill sets. And then in their junior year, you see more specific, detailed depth of learning in our upper level courses. So an example of some of those upper level courses is shown here. Now, what you might notice is that there aren't so many upper level courses that are required in these degree majors. That's on purpose. In addition to allowing our students flexibility to move between majors without it negatively impacting them, these upper level courses are augmented by a bunch of electives, which are shown on the next slide. And again, you're going to see there's tons of options. The goal here is not to give you a whole lot of things to read in detail, but to illustrate the fact that each of these degrees can be tailored according to the student's interests. As they go through their education at Rowan, they get an opportunity to get to know their professors from our small class sizes, to establish relationships with their professors as they work in labs, and to get mentorship that help them figure out which direction they want to go. And then they can tailor their educational process by choosing classes that are specific to the field they want to get into. This gives them depth. It gives them the skills they need to be competitive. So we've designed these curricula to be interchangeable and tailorable to the student. So if you are a student who comes in, you can basically take your MCB degree and you can tailor it to make you competitive for that job in, let's say, neuroscience that you decide as a junior you really want to pursue. And that's an overview of the details of our academic programs. You can find all of these courses on our website. So if you didn't have a chance to read all the details here, you can find all of that information on our website. And now Dr. Soto-Reyes is going to tell you a little bit more about the research experience available for our students.
Thank you, Dr. Nushi. So I'm going to talk to you about why MCB at Rowan. And one of the main advantages of these majors that we have in our department is that you will have access to research, to do research at Rowan with us. But not only that, the majority of our faculty, they are doing research in areas of life sciences and biomedical sciences. So if you are interested in health professions and any life sciences path or biomedical path, this is the ideal, no? These are the ideal majors for you. And the curriculum is actually designed for health professions and life sciences, but is also well adjusted, no, with the research that we are doing in our labs. Of course, if you got this research experience, you are going to be having some advantages for med school. Obviously, for PhD programs, you already have experience, and PhD programs, they like that. They actually, students, they want students to already know that they like to do research and that they have some skills with them. And if you decided, or if you don't want to go to grad school or to continue studying, you still can have a chance to get a job in the pharma or biotech. Some of our students, actually, they take gap years 1 or 2, and they go and work in labs at Philadelphia, like Jefferson or UPenn, while they prepare for their MCAT or their applications for grad school. And that's good because they go directly from their bachelor degrees to have a job. In the right, this is one of my students. She's already graduated and she's actually now at Jefferson studying a PhD in neuroscience. She's actually there dissecting a brain. We are working, studying neurodegeneration, and at the same time also development in a mouse model of neurodegenerative disease that happen in children. And that's why we combine both. And next we are going to see students. So I will let Dr. Nushi to
So this is a TBS major who graduated recently. His name's Kevin Dawes. He is a research scientist at Cooper now in one of the labs there at Cooper Medical School. He's using a microscope to visualize breast cancer cells. He works in the laboratory of Dr. Mary Alpaugh. She's a cancer biologist. This is a video that was taken in her lab. The cell lines that they study are stored in liquid nitrogen. So that's what they're doing here, is removing those cells from liquid nitrogen ahead of preparing for some of their experiments. You'll notice there's a variety of students in the space behind Kevin. Many of those are actually med students. So a lot of our undergrads who get the opportunity to work at the medical school work side by side with med students and with their professors. One of the other students who's sitting there behind Kevin is a biomedical engineer. So you'll notice that one of the things you'll experience as a student here at Rowan is you won't just be working with students in your major, but with students from a wide array of fields, which is very similar to the kind of experience you get in the real world when you go out and get a job.
So, okay, talking more about undergraduate research. So obviously, you will be working in the research lab of the faculty of our department. The majority of our faculty are doing research, specifically in life sciences or biomedical sciences. We also have every summer the college-wide summer undergraduate research program, and it's an excellent opportunity for our students to work in our labs full-time. And we actually produce a lot of data during that time. And the students also have the opportunity to present their work. They participate in workshops, and we have activities, where we can also socialize and have more interaction among us. We also, I want to talk to you, why do research as an undergrad? Well, you are getting critical analytical skills. That's something that is obviously necessary as a scientist and hopefully as a doctor. An MD doctor. You are getting faculty mentorship, and this is a huge advantage, and this is very important because your mentor is going to know you more beyond the classroom, so we can tell more about the character of that student, the hard work that that student do in the lab. So you are getting a very strong recommendation letter for a faculty member that actually knows you well. You also will have lab and instrumentation experience, seminars and advising workshops, presenting in conferences, and also sometimes we have money and we can pay students to work in our labs, especially during the summer. So we have paid position and stipends. I also want to add that being part of a lab, you are like part of a community, and that's also something good, like it becomes like your family. You have where to go when you are not having classes in between, and you meet with your peers that are also your friends, So it's a good opportunity. This is my student, Sarah. She's actually preparing antibodies to do a staining in one of our tissues. Yeah, next. So another big opportunity when you do research is that our labs are not training labs. They are labs where you are going to get trained, but we are actually doing science that is going to contribute to the fields where we are. And you can see here examples of publications that have been produced in our department. 3 of them. Dr. Nushis is the first one in the top. Pamela Gallo was a student in the TBS major. The one in the bottom is a paper from my lab. There is 7 undergrad students. From those 7, 3 of them are TBS. And there is the third one in the right, that's Dr. Sean, and there is 2 students there that are actually TBS. So the opportunity to be in a lab is not only to be trained in science and getting skills, you are also contributing to the advance of the field where you are working on. We also have opportunities for the students to present in international and regional conferences. Here are some images I can talk about. The one in the top right are my student Bridget and Ruth. They went with me to a conference in Chicago, and in the bottom left is Larissa. She's now in the DO school, but she went with me to a conference in San Diego to present her work. And many of my students have been North Jersey or Philadelphia, so there is so many opportunities when you have been doing research to present. So that's another skill. And yeah, I see the maturity in our students, no, that are doing research, how they grow and how they become better professionals too. So I think, before we change, sorry, we have Alyssa here, and Alyssa is part of our TBS major. And I want Alyssa to talk about her experience as doing research in the laboratory of Dr. Nushi.
So as Dr. Soto said, I do research in Dr. Nietzsche's lab. I started in the spring of my sophomore year, and I started on a project called the Drug Delivery Project. And on that project, I basically just made samples to help us deliver protein-based drugs and encapsulate them. And as I worked on that project, I was able to move up in leadership on that project to eventually become one of the leaders as the others who were leading it graduated. And now over this past summer, we were able to start writing the manuscript on which I will have my name as the first author. And so it's just really a good experience being able to understand what goes into writing a manuscript, because we read them all the time in classes, but it's different being able to actually say, oh yeah, I actually have experience of writing a scientific paper. That's different than just a regular lab report. It's one that will be published. So you understand how to really edit the figures and the kind of language that you need to use in it, because it's different than just a regular paper. And then another opportunity I had in Dr. Nietzsche's lab was to take a paper that I wrote in my biophysics class as a review. And I was able to bring it to him and say, hey, Dr. Nietzsche, I want to be able to get this to the level to publish it as a review paper, because I think this is something really important that needs to be published. And he said, yeah, let's go for it. Let's write this paper and get it to the level it needs to be published. So doing research at Rowan also allows you, because it's a smaller lab, to have a bigger say in what gets done and to voice your opinions more often.
Thank you, Alyssa. Excellent. So now Dr. Caron is going to be talking more about our programs.
Thank you, Dr. Soto-Reyes, and thank you, Dr. Nucci, as well. So Dr. Nucci talked a little bit about the curriculum that goes along with a lot of our 3 different programs, MCB, TBS, and Bioinformatics. I'm just going to expand on a little bit more what the programs are and how they differentiate from each other. So I'm going to start with the MCB program. The MCB degree at Rowan is a Bachelor of Science degree. As you're doing this degree, it's geared primarily towards coursework, but you will of course have the opportunity to do research in the laboratory, as you'll see from one of the students I'm going to introduce. And we also have a couple of programs that couple along with this that are really beneficial, including a 5-year, we call it a 4+1, but it's actually a 5-year program where you actually get your master's as well. And so you start taking those advanced graduate classes during your senior year, and it can, save you a year, which is dollars, time, and it's beneficial for a lot of our students. We also have BS and MD or DO programs, which allow students to join into a 7-year doctoral program where they can begin their Bachelor of Science at Rowan and then complete their medical doctor or DO at both Cooper or SOM programs. So before I jump on TBS, I just wanted to say hi again to Amal Khan, who's one of those students in our MCB program. And just, Amal, could you just maybe shed a little light on what you think MCB is, how it differs from some of the other programs in terms of like why it's been good for you?
Of course, thank you, Dr. Caron. Yeah, so as Dr. Crone already said, I'm a student in the BS-MD program with Cooper Medical School, and I'm a junior, so this would be my last semester here at Rowan before graduating. And I mainly chose the MCB major coming into Rowan because I looked at the curriculum, and we already know that it's very interdisciplinary, but besides just it being interdisciplinary, it's also very streamlined for medical school. It allowed me so much flexibility, even though I had the time constraint of having to take 4 years of college education and fit them into 3 years. And even in doing that, I feel like I had so much room during my junior year to choose the electives that I was really interested in. And I also am a student in Dr. Soto Reyes's lab, and I got a lot of hands-on experience with human disease as well. And besides just the lab, even in other classes too that I took that are part of my upper levels and mid levels, like molecular biology methods. So I think that my experiences here at Rowan have really helped me in terms of practical applications for medical school, and also helps me to enjoy my experience and not be stressed out all the time because of the flexibility that this major offers.
Thanks a lot. That was great. Can you guys hit the next slide? All right, so while the MCB degree is primarily curriculum-based, you can see that from our students, there's also great opportunities to do research. But one thing that differentiates the MCB from the TBS degree is the TBS degree is a smaller program, but that's really primarily driven by students' interest in research. And so you can get your Bachelor of Science degree in TBS. You can also get a 4+1 or a Bachelor's Master's degree with our 5-year program as well. So students in the TBS program begin research in their sophomore year, and they're immersed in this one-on-one interactions with these mentors through their entire career. Alyssa is a great example of someone who started a research early and has really thrived in that. So Alyssa, what do you think? What do you think about the TBS major?
So I really enjoy the TBS major because I know that if I had done just a regular biology major, I probably wouldn't have reached out to somebody to do research, and then I wouldn't have found this love for research that I have. Whereas the TBS major, they show you all the labs that you can be in your intro class, and then they allow you to reach out to a few of the faculty and say, hey, we want to be in your lab because it's required for our major. Another thing that I think is unique to my story is I started off wanting to go to medical school when I first went to Rowan. So I chose the TBS major because I was advised to choose something other than just biology, because a lot of people want to go to medical school and they have biology as their major. So the TBS program was something that's different than just a regular biology major. And as I started doing research, I realized that medical school wasn't something I wanted to do, and that's okay to not go to medical school, but that research is actually something that's really fun and enjoyable for me. And that is why I'm now pursuing my PhD.
Alyssa, that's great, thanks. But I have to tell you that it's not completely unique. When I started my undergraduate, I wanted to do medical school as well. And I was at a big state school, and I just got lucky being able to get into a laboratory. I was one of many. The TBS major is so great because all the students in the TBS major all get to do research with the faculty at Rowan. That's one of the special things about it. All right, so let's talk about bioinformatics. So I'm also the undergraduate and graduate coordinator for our bioinformatics program in the MCB department. We offer a BS degree, an MS degree, and an accelerated degree, which is like a 4+1 program that combines the best elements in both. So the field of bioinformatics is rapidly growing. It's almost impossible to do any of the pharmaceutical sciences without having a solid foundation in computational sciences. In the College of Science and Mathematics, our fastest growing program is computer science. Well, the bioinformatics degree is a way to combine your knowledge of computer science with curriculum based in computer science and in biology so that you can have an integrative degree that prepares you for very specific skills. Some of those jobs include things like being genetic counselors or analyzing clinical data from CHOP or Penn or other hospitals. So the bioinformatics degree is another great degree that we have in our department. And again, like Dr. Nucci spoke about earlier, you can start with the core curriculum for any of these 3 programs, and you can swap around and take classes in all of these depending on how your interests change throughout the program. And if you have any questions afterwards specifically, please feel free to reach out to me or us during this presentation. I'll answer more of them for you. So many of our students have also gone on to great, fantastic places from the MCB, TBS, and bioinformatics programs. Some of my students have wound up at Johns Hopkins, Cooper Medical School, SOM. Many of Dr. Nucci's and Dr. Soto Reyes' students have populated many of the lists that you see on the following slide. Our students go on to do great things because we give them personalized interactions and mentorship. So join MCB.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to move on to questions and answers. My name is Bridget Malone, and I am the PR and events coordinator here at the College of Science and Math. And I'd also just like to briefly introduce our assistant dean, who we have the pleasure of joining us today, Jennifer Ravelli.
Hello.
And I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that we can see our panelists. So I'm going to ask everybody, if you haven't already, to take off, to share your camera and unmute yourself, and then we can start in on some questions. So during the presentation, we talked so much about the value of research and how accessible it is at Rowan and the wonderful experiences that our students have had. But if you're a new student at Rowan, and you're wondering, how do I get involved with research? What is the method? Can you talk about how students connect and how they find out which faculty are doing which research so that they can kind of pick something that they might be interested in or don't know a lot about and want to get more information on?
Sure, I can tackle that first, but I think I'm gonna say a few things and then ask our students to comment. I think that one of the nice things about Rowan's size and the size of our classes is it's easy for students to establish relationships with their professors. Most of the students that work in my lab, I have about a dozen undergrads in my lab each semester, and pretty much all of them have gotten positions working in my lab just by asking. Just by coming to me and saying, I want to get involved in research, and I think your research sounds cool. I've had other students who've asked me, how do I get involved in research? And what I say to them is, go on the website, look at the faculty members' pages and read about their research, find the ones that interest you, and shoot them an email and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about opportunities in your lab. For most of our students, I think it's that simple, but perhaps Alyssa and Amal can share how they got involved in research and what sorts of resources they took advantage of.
Sure, I could say something. Yeah, so going off of what Dr. Nucci already said, during my when I was a sophomore at Rowan University, I just went on to the home pages for like the Rowan University majors, and I looked at the different types of research that different professors were doing in the biology and the MCB department specifically, and I found Dr. Carone and Dr. Soto Reyes' research really interesting. So, and I'd never had either of these professors before either, but I just read about their work and then I shot both of them an email. And they were both extremely welcoming. They invited me to see some presentations that their students were giving, and they explained to me their research, and then I ended up working in Dr. Soto Reyes' lab. But it was as simple as that, and because of the small class sizes too, and how there's not many students working in one research lab at a time, I think that it was really easy for me to develop a personal relationship with Dr. Soto as well, even though I'd never taken her for any classes prior to my research experience.
Great.
And then I just want to add some things. So like Dr. Carone had mentioned, the TBS major, we're required to do research, but before we start our research, we have an intro class, and that's how I found out about it. In our intro class, we were presented with all the faculty members in the MCB department and a little bit about their research. And from there, we chose, before we started doing research, like 3 choices of whose lab we wanted to be in.
And is it
and I was your first choice, right?
Yes, of course.
And speaking of you being everyone's first choice, is it true that you have students from other departments, like maybe biochem or biology, that also join your lab?
My lab is, yeah. So key to our interdisciplinary work is having students with wide-ranging expertise. So in addition to, I have MCB majors, I have a bioinformatics, I've one bioinformatics graduate student, I've had bioinformatics majors, I've had MCB majors, I've had engineering students, physicists, chemists, biochemists. So it gives the students an opportunity to, I think, as Dr. Soto Reyes said, be part of a broader community that goes beyond just the students they'd meet in their classrooms. I've had students come through my lab that have ended up finding the 2 or 3 people that they just mesh with, that they end up being close friends with well after undergrad, after they've moved on to different degree paths. And that interdisciplinary experience also lets the students learn how to collaborate and balance what they know against what someone else knows, and kind of it's like I forget which cartoon it was, when our powers combined, right? Is that Captain Planet? Is that right, Ben? Captain Planet the Panther? I don't know if anybody remembers their
Power Rangers, Voltron.
Maybe it's Power. Yeah, right. It's sort of a universal theme. But I feel like that's what happens with the students in my lab. They come together and they share ideas, and they get to share perspectives, and all be better for it.
And I think that, just to point out for the students that are joining us, that is really unique to Rowan, because we are growing in size. We are, a mid-sized public university and growing every year, but students are still having those intimate experiences. They are connecting with faculty directly and having that mentorship that they may not have at another public university at the same size. Jennifer, do you want to join in with any of the questions that you're seeing? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. There's a question in the chat box regarding career counseling opportunities. So can we talk a little more about some of the opportunities in career counseling that students can expect?
Sure, I can address that. So I think that there are 2 main resources that are important to note. One is our Office of Health Professions, our Health Professions Advising Office. We have full-time professional health advisors who are around to help the students who are interested in medical professions, whether that's med school, vet school, dental school, PA school, helping those students know what they need to do, helping them navigate the application process, helping them work through their personal statements, interview processes, all of those kinds of things. That resource exists for all the students interested in that path. And then we also have career development workshops that are a key part of the summer program, and are also available in some forms during the school year for all students, that help the students think strategically about, well, how do I figure out really which direction I want to go? And then helps them learn things like networking skills, the key things to do when they're working on a resume, all those sorts of things. There's a variety of different sort of formal guidance opportunities for the students, but I think that the number one tool that most of our students get is the mentorship, the relationships that they have with faculty members who help them, and that they can just go to and ask questions. Maybe Alyssa and Amal can speak to some of the resources that they've been able to take advantage of with respect to career guidance.
You can go, Mom.
You can go, it's okay.
Okay, the number one resource I use is Dr. Nucci. So whenever I had a question or a doubt about what I wanted to do after I graduate, I would always go to him. And while filling out my applications for graduate school, he was always there to help look over my personal statement and help me with my resume and whatnot. And so I think whoever you do research with, if you decide to do research, use them as one of the people you go for mentorship, because they'll be more than willing to help you. They want to see you succeed.
Amal, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I did. So speaking from my experience as a 3+4 student specifically, a lot of my career guidance has come from Dr. Hendrick and also Dr. Brooks now, who's a new resource here, but also the faculty in the MCB department. A lot of them who I've had many classes with have written me really great recommendation letters for medical school when I applied during last summer. And also I've spoken with a lot of them. And yeah, like Dr. Nucci said previously about the mentorship, I think that's really helped me during times when I was a little stressed out about school or about my application. And that's helped guide me along through my journey as a 3+4 student here.
Thank you so much. I have some other questions for the students, just to touch on student life here at Rowan. What can you tell me about some of the clubs that you're involved in? Maybe in, some science clubs, or maybe not related to science, just so that some of our students can get an idea of the opportunities here.
So the majority of the clubs I am a part of have to do with athletics, since I am on the cross country and track team at Rowan. So if you are an athlete as well, one of the clubs you can be in is Outstanding Women Leadership. It is for female athletes to help increase our leadership skills and to teach us some things that we just need to know. So one of them was eating etiquettes for if you go out to a business dinner, to know just what forks to use, because sometimes we're not always taught that anymore. And then we also just get to hear from other females in a leadership role outside of athletics, in business and whatnot. And then I'm also a part of the Student Athletic Government Association. So that also helped me learn leadership skills as well.
Yeah, I've been a e-board member. I'm the treasurer actually of American Medical Women's Association here at Rowan University, and we're looking to expand our membership. So for any prospective students, you should definitely join that club. But it's a really great club because everybody is so welcoming, and I think it's really important for women going into STEM-related fields to have a backbone, a support system, because a lot of the times, we're pretty underrepresented in these fields. So it's nice to have that support system. And my club also offers a lot of really cool resources, like guest speakers, doctors who are working like at Rowan Som or at places around here, who offer themselves for shadowing and for other opportunities. And we also provide like PowerPoint presentations on how to apply for medical school or dental school or things like that, that I think are really useful for anybody looking to go into like a pre-med or pre-health related field. But aside from that club, I'm also part of some cultural organizations here at Rowan. So I'm part of the Filipino American Coalition here. I'm part of the South Asian Students Association. And those cultural clubs are like a really nice break, I think, from school, where you can just like hang out with other students from different majors, make some friends too, besides just focusing on school all the time.
Great, thank you so much. That club sounds fantastic, and I totally agree with you that the support system is very, very important. Here's a lighter question. I don't know if you guys are living on campus or were living on campus before COVID, but just to give students that maybe are not familiar with South Jersey or the Glassboro area, can you just describe the culture and the feel of downtown Glassboro, maybe what it's like to live in dorms here, the different types of dorms we have?
Well, I'm an on-campus resident. I've lived at the dorms since my freshman year, so for all 3 years now. And right now I live in 220 Rowan Boulevard. I think that's one of the nicer and more expensive dorms, but I just wanted to say, like, the dorms at Rowan are pretty nice, like the upperclassmen dorms at least. And the downtown Glassboro area is really nice as well. There's a lot of food places around here. That's usually what I do. I go out and eat all the time, but but I think, yeah, there's like a lot of different options for things you can get. There's also like really nice seating areas around here too. So when it's nicer weather, sometimes pre-COVID, I would go and grab food and then go sit in one of those areas outside and just like enjoy a meal. But it's a really nice area for students to walk around on the weekends and just to enjoy themselves.
So I actually don't live on campus. I have been a commuter all 4 years. I live in the next town over from Glassboro in Pittman. And honestly, like, it's been so nice growing up here. So it's just been an easy transition going from Pittman, which is literally 5 minutes away from Rowan. Even outside of Glassboro, Pittman's just a 5-minute drive, and we have downtown places. So I know a lot of my friends like to go to downtown Pittman to all of our different restaurants down there as well, just to get away from the Glassboro community a little bit, just to switch it up, because sometimes you do get sick of eating the same foods every day of the week.
I live in Mantua, so I'm frequently in Pittman and Glassboro for restaurants as well myself. But I just touching on you being a commuter, do you still feel like you're part of the Rowan community even though you're not living on campus?
Yeah, I do. And I think big part of that is one, being in a research lab, because that helps you meet more people and make deeper connections, because I don't have a roommate that would be like a lifelong friend that I would have made. And the other part is being a part of an athletic team. So I also make friends there and I get involved. And since most of them live on campus, they are telling me about on-campus activities more often than I would just hear living at home. So I get experience that way as well.
Great, thank you. I think we have time just for a couple other questions. And Jennifer, I was hoping that maybe you and I could touch on some of the opportunities that students might have for scholarships, and also just how affordable Rowan is. I mean, we've been talking for the past hour about the high quality education that these students are receiving, the research experience, the advising, the counseling, and that they're getting that special touch in at a university that is very affordable compared to some other private universities that are offering the same services. Oh, just turn on your mic.
Rowan is a unique public institution in the way that they have a lot of scholarship dollars available to students. So not only do we have merit scholarships, and these aren't based only on your academics, they're based on your service work, who you are as a student, your application essay. But we also offer scholarships to students throughout their academic career. So students have the opportunity in their second, third, and fourth years to apply for lots of scholarship dollars, which I think makes Rowan unique among the public universities in New Jersey. In addition, we were one of the first universities to discount our tuition this year for students that were dealing with the pandemic. And we are extremely affordable and extremely competitive.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, please.
One additional thing I just want to mention with respect to affordability. You know, we're a department that heavily emphasizes the relevance and the value of experience and working in labs. And federal work study is a mechanism that a lot of students are able to take advantage of to have a paying job while they work on campus. At most universities, those federal work study jobs are things like working in the library or working in the dining hall, for example. And those kind of positions do exist at Rowan as well. But one of the things that has happened in the course of the last couple of years has been us taking advantage of students taking those kinds of federal work study positions and being able to work in the lab, so that they are not only earning money they would otherwise have to borrow, but getting that experience in the lab, building the kinds of skills that will actually benefit them after they graduate. I have 3 or 4 federal work study students working in my lab every semester now, and it's a really great mechanism for them to take advantage of the financial aid opportunities that are there while getting real world, like, practical experience.
Yeah, I am not in the sciences, but I have a student worker too, and she's gaining a lot of professional experience that she's going to be able to put on her resume, and she's also, you know, making money, like you said. So it's been a really great working experience. Ma?
Oh yeah, if I could just mention one thing too, as like a student, from the perspective of a student in terms of like affordability, like coming into Rowan during my freshman year, so when I applied to colleges, Rowan already had like the most affordable tuition, even from a lot of other institutions around here that are public. But on top of that, they offered so much merit scholarship. And then even after you start going to Rowan, there are so many opportunities to get jobs, like for federal work study and even besides federal work study. I found a job as a tutor quite easily, actually, and I started working as one during my sophomore year. And that's, I think, like one of the really great jobs that Rowan offers. There's also so many other opportunities, like in the library, as like residence hall association you can work to. So there's a lot of opportunities to make money and to get even more scholarship once you're already on campus.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. So I think at this point we are at the end of our time. So I'm going to bring up our contacts. Can everyone see the contact page there? Okay, so, and this is just so that if you think of other questions, if you need to get in contact with us, I want to make sure that we share our contact information. If you have a phone handy, feel free to grab it and take a quick picture of the screen for future reference. You can also visit rowan.edu/MCB for more information on this department. Just a reminder that the regular decision application for next fall is March 1st. Also, our admissions department is currently giving in-person campus tours, small groups, so that they are safe and can socially distance. And you can also do a self-guided audio tour. And of course, please reach out to our admissions office, our financial aid office at any time if you have any questions. And we also would love for you to visit our college website, and that you can find that at csm.rowan.edu. And I have a QR code there on the screen. Should make it super easy for you to find us. I'm just going to pause here for a second if you want to pull your phone out and check the QR code and make sure you can get to your site. I had several people double check it. It should work. And with that, we've come to the end of our program. On behalf of everyone here today, we wish you a very successful college search. We hope to see you on campus soon. And thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully we won't get too much snow, but maybe we'll have a snow day tomorrow. So goodbye, everybody. Have fun with the rest of the weekend, and good luck.
Thank you all for coming.
Thanks for joining us.
If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us.